Today, we're diving into the genetic explanation of schizophrenia. We'll be looking at key research studies and breaking down what they tell us about how much of schizophrenia is influenced by our genes. Let's get started. The genetic explanation states that people can inherit a predisposition to develop schizophrenia from their family. But how do scientists measure this genetic influence? Researchers use something called concordance rates. These are the percentages that show how likely it is that if one person in a pair, like siblings or twins, has schizophrenia, the other person will have it too. The closer you are genetically, the more likely it is. So, if your identical twin has schizophrenia, you're more likely to get it compared to, say, a distant cousin. Let's look at some research that supports this. First up is Gottesman, 1991. He did a study that looked at how schizophrenia runs in families. Here's what he found. The prevalence of schizophrenia in the general population is 1%. For a sibling with schizophrenia, there is a 9% concordance rate. For fraternal twins, there is a 17% concordance. And for identical twins, who share 100% of their genes, there is a 48% concordance rate. So, as you can see, the more genes you share with someone who has schizophrenia, the higher your risk of developing it. Next, we've got another study that looked specifically at twins. Gottesman and Shields in 1972 compared identical twins, or monozygotic twins, with fraternal twins, or dizygotic twins. They wanted to see how genetic similarity affected schizophrenia. Monozygotic twins, who share 100% of their genes, had a 42% concordance rate. Dizygotic twins, who share 50% of their genes, had a 9% concordance rate. Identical twins had a much higher concordance rate for schizophrenia compared to fraternal twins, which supports the idea that genetics play a big role. Tianari et al. In 1987 did an adoption study in Finland. They looked at kids who were adopted at birth. Some of these kids had biological mothers with schizophrenia, while others didn't. The results: 7% of the children whose biological mothers had schizophrenia developed it themselves later in life, even though they were raised in a completely different environment. This shows us that genetics play a role in the onset of schizophrenia. Let's recap. The genetic explanation suggests that the closer the genetic relationship with someone with schizophrenia, the increased risk you have of developing the disorder. This has been supported by multiple studies looking at concordance rates in families, twins, and adoption studies that help us to separate the influence of nature and nurture. If you found this video helpful, give it a thumbs up and don't forget to subscribe for more psychology content.